Subscribe Nightmare Network and press the bell icon to listen horror and scary stories regularly.
It was just an ordinary day, a typical Saturday. I was working in my usual Starbucks, just a few minutes away from my apartment. It happened in the late afternoon, maybe I think around 3 or 4 p.m. There was not much crowd as it used to be in normal days. Even it was a weekend, but I don't know. I was feeling very strange that day. The usual hustle and bustle was noticeable absent, leaving a strange sensation in the back of my stomach. I was preparing an order for a customer who was right in front of me. The order was quite large, consisting of 3 pumpkin cream cold brews, 2 iced caramel macchiatos, and possibly some peppermint mochas as well. The man had a mysterious look, dressed in a long black suit and wearing sunglasses that hiding his eyes. I asked, "Sir, would you like to add anything else to your order?" He stayed silent for about 5 seconds, I think, and then he shouted, "Are you mad? Why are you asking me that stupid question again?" I became silent and freeze at that moment. I was shocked by that unexpected scream. Even though I was trying to keep myself cool, my hands were shaking while I was still making the drinks. I said, "I apologize, sir," with a little tremble in my voice. "I apologize if I upset you. Can I get you anything else at all?" The man scared me with a deep, dark laugh. "No, no," he shouted, his tone dripping with hate. "You've done quite enough already." Trying rapidly to diffuse the tension in the room, I managed a weak smile. However, I couldn't get rid of the uneasy sensation I had as the man stared at me like a predator examining its prey. He came in close, his breath hot on my ear as I gave him his command. He said, "Remember my face. You'll be seeing me again." I was left standing there, shocked and awkward, as he turned and walked out of the Starbucks. As I watched him leave, I experienced problems with an ongoing feeling of discomfort for the rest of the day. Each noise appeared to promise danger, every shadow a possible threat. I noticed that something has done to me. I talked to the manager about the incident, and he responded to me by saying, "Don't worry, I will report this to cops." I almost rushed out of the Starbucks when my shift finally finished, wanting to get away from the suffocating atmosphere that appeared to be a curse attached to the location. However, a chilly breeze whispered through the air as I went outside onto the street, bringing with it a feeling of approaching doom. I rushed home, feeling anxious and afraid. That dude was who? What was it he wanted from me? Why did he appear so recognizable, as though I had previously seen him somewhere? I lay in bed that night, unable to get rid of weird and scary feeling. Then, when I was about to get in deep sleep, I heard a voice that was similar to that man at the Starbucks. It whispered, "Remember my face. You'll be seeing me again." God, it was really a nightmare. I jumped up in bed. The room was empty, but the fear was still there. At that moment, I realized that the man was following me. That day passed, and I never see him again. And I prayed that I would never have to see him again.
I usually get my coffee from Starbucks, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. However, I did truly once have a really scary experience that I can't describe it in words. I was sitting there at a table using my laptop. I am a social media manager. I am working for a company remotely, and I was doing one of my job-related tasks that day. I was doing some work on a client's account. Before sitting on my chair, I gave the order of a coffee. There were only few using their smartphones and reading books. I was using my laptop when I realized that an hour had gone by. Usually, It takes only, I think, maximum 10 minutes for your order to reach at your table, but can you believe it was an hour past since I ordered my coffee? But it was not arrived there. I ignored it and decided to wait for only a few minutes more. But it was not reaching to me. I became frustrated and angry. I stood up and go to a staff member and asked about my coffee. He was not the guy who took my order, but anyways. He replied me back, "Sir, please sit at your chair. Your coffee will arrive soon." Why are they not upset by their behavior? I questioned to myself. They were looking very calm and relaxed, even it was their mistake. Without any fight or arguing. I ignored them and go to the washroom. I washed my face and thought about the incident. Starbucks cannot be that bad, but what is going on here? I asked myself. Then I decided to find out their manager for complaint and questioning about their service and staff member behavior before going out of the Starbucks. I was searching for the manager, but he was not there. I know the manager of this branch because I was the regular customer of that branch. The manager was a decent guy. I knew that, but it was not completely real truth about him, and then after searching here and there, I found a room in the corner of the hallway. It was opened a little bit. Was it there before? I asked myself. Ignoring the surroundings, I reached there. It was very dark and cold there. That area of the Starbucks cafe was really different from the whole environment. It was not matching the vibe of a cafe, but I ignored it. I was feeling scared about the room, but I took courage and opened it. A cold air came from the room. It was dark and dimly lit room with yellow light. I was looking the room and then suddenly I saw something. That's when I noticed it. A crouching figure facing away from me at a corner of the room. That figure, or what I call a creature, was whispering something. Their words too low to make out, but the sound was making me scared. I know that it is not looking real, but believe me, it was real, and I faced it. I took courage and said, "Excuse me, are you the manager?" The figure stopped moving, then slowly turned to look at me. His face distorted into a horrible smile, but it wasn't a human face. I jerked back, fear spinning through my head. What was this creature, and what was it doing here in the depths of Starbucks? I heard some theories about reptilian creatures who are living inside of us. They can change their shapes of body and face and can be looked as a human, but I don't know, it was a reptilian creature or something else, but it was really creepy and horrible. I was shocked and freeze. His eyes were looking into my body like he wants to tear me into pieces. He leaped on me, pushing me to fall to the ground. I screamed because I was powerless, but nobody arrived. I felt as though I was in an other universe. I forced myself to attempt to get away of it, and I was successful in doing so, but as soon as I reached to the door, the thing grabbed my left arm and crunched it up like though it were a normal meal. Yes, he swallowed my left arm. I don't have my left arm anymore. I was frightened when I saw blood flowing through my half-outstretched arm. I forced myself to run again without stopping to consider my options. I get out of that room and ran like there was no one. Peoples were shocked after looking my condition. They screamed and started to run. Even though I lost my arm, I am still incredibly grateful to still be alive and have a working body. But I am curious and very stressed that is there really those creatures living inside of us? As I sat in my usual corner of Starbucks, enjoying the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and taking pleasure of a warm waffle, I was feeling happy. It was just another ordinary day in my everyday existence, and I loved these simple moments of peacefulness among the chaos of life. The cafe vibrated with the usual conversation of customers, the sound of coffee machines whirring, and the clinking of cups and saucers. I immersed myself in the familiar ambience, finding comfort in the rhythmic hum of everyday life. But then, without warning, everything changed. I noticed it first as a hidden shift in the atmosphere, a heaviness that settled over the cafe like a dark cloud. Everything became darker and shadowy. I think it was about to rain, but it was not. It was something else. Curious, I looked up from my plate. only to pause in shock at what I saw. It appeared as though a storm was approaching because of the unusual darkness in the sky outside. But it was something coming from their center, not the scary clouds. It was shaped like a huge disk that stayed in the sky like a scary ghost. A shiver ran down my spine as its surface sparkled in the faint light, showing an invisible sparkle. There was a collective scream in the cafe as customers, their faces carved with horror and confusion, abandoned their meals and ran to the windows. A few whispered prayers to themselves, while others just looked in disbelieving silence, unable to process the bizarre scene in front of them. I could see complex patterns engraved into the metallic surface of the disc-shaped object as it got closer, strange symbols that seemed to glow with a mysterious energy. It radiated evil vibes. The crowd burst into chaos as panic spread across it and people screamed for help, comfort, and a way out. However, there was nowhere to go or hide from the impending danger that hung large above us. The item dropped upon the cafe, its presence heavy and restricting, and the air buzzed with tension. Its weight was upon me, and I felt a basic impulse pushing me to run away and find cover from the approaching storm. However, I couldn't move from where I was, focused by the bizarre scene in front of me. As I attempted to make sense of the horror that was consuming us, my breath came in harsh jerks and my heart hammered in my chest. And then, without warning, the object unleashed its fury upon the cafe. A loud bang that echoed throughout the streets was followed by a brilliant burst of light in the sky. I covered my eyes from the bright light, the explosion's intensity overpowering my senses. The cafe was in ruins when I dared to take another look. Its once vibrant interior had been reduced to a smoking mess of twisted metal and broken glass. My lungs were choked and my vision was clouded by the dense smoke and dirt in the air. I frantically looked around for any indication of life, for any ray of hope among the piles of rubble. But all I could find was hopelessness, creepy echoes of a society forever changed by the horrific events of that tragic day. I was tortured by the sounds of the injured and the screams of the fallen as I crawled over the waste, and I couldn't get rid of the sense that someone was watching me, with icy, unforgiving precision. And I realized that the nightmare was far from ended as I looked up at the sky, which was suddenly violently silent and motionless. Even though the object was gone and merely left wreckage in its way, its presence continued to exist like a shadow. Everyone will be scared after that event. I swore to live, to overcome the difficulties and drag my broken world back from the edge of darkness. However, I knew in my heart that the worst was still to come and that the real tragedy had only just begun.